Hello everyone and welcome again to Learning in Bits. In this short tutorial, I'm going to show you how I created this scene. Basically, the whole concept is to introduce you or to reintroduce you to the process of texturing in Maya. The first step of this tutorial will look at basic modeling. And I say basic because we're not going to go very deep into the intricacies of modeling, but just like a reminder of the few things you need to know when you model. And then the second part will look at texturing and how we can export the UVs into Photoshop and apply textures and bring them back into Maya and apply them on the models as a material. So the first thing we're going to do now is we click on New right here in Maya. I'm using Maya 2024. So I'll click on New to start a new scene. What I normally advise people to do, students to do, is to go to File and make sure you save this project properly from the very start. So what I'm going to do, I'll go to File, I'll go right down to Project Window, click on Project Window, and then I'll click on New. I'll give this a name. I'll call this Texturing, and then I will say Accept to create a project window, and then I'll go right down again to Set Project. I want to set this project to mirror everything in the texturing folder that I just created, and I'll click on Set. And then last thing I'm going to do is to save scene as, and I'll call these modeling, because the first part of this tutorial is about modeling. All right. The next steps will be to create the models that I need to apply textures to. And I'm going to start with the basic one, which is a cube. You could actually go to Create Polygon Primitives and click on Cube, or you could come right here where you have this shelf here and click on this cube here. And let's start with clicking here. So you will notice that once I clicked on that icon of the cube, it appeared right at the center of the grid. This area with these lines are called is called the grid. All right, so now I always advise to have some kind of control over what you create. So to fix that, I'm going to delete this cube, and I'll rather go to Create Polygon Primitives and activate my interactive creation. All right, I click on it. Now this way, if I hit this icon of the cube again, it won't appear because I want to have control where and how I create it. So I'm going to draw first on the grid to establish the base, and then leave my left mouse and draw the height to establish the height. Now, because this is a cube, I have to make sure that all the sides are equal. So I'll come right here where you have the channel box, that's the channel box, and the layer editor, and under where you have the polycube, I want to go to the width, the height, and the depth. You see right now the numbers are not even, which means it's not really a perfect cube. So I'm going to select all of them and enter 1. That way, this model becomes a perfect cube. All right. While we are still here, I'm just going to change the name to get things tidy, and I'll call this a cube. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is create a serial box. Same process. I'm going to draw the base first, and then I'll draw the height. Because I'm not working with any specific number, I'm going to just leave it like that. So I'm going to eyeball it and decide what works best. And once again, I'm going to give this a name so that everything looks tidy. So that's a serial box. The next thing I'm going to create is a plate. Now this is very interesting. I'm going to draw using my sphere. I'm going to draw this first, all right on the grid, and I will hit my spacebar to go to my side view, because this is one thing I want to show you guys how to do. So I'm going to go to Face, right click and hold Face, and I'll select a couple of faces, something like that, and I'll just hit delete. Okay, then I'll go back to my object mode. If I activate my scale tool, which is R, I can actually scale it downwards to establish the size that I want. Okay, now you notice that this already is looking like a plate. I'm going to hit F to zoom in. All right, and I will center pivot. All right, now you will notice that even though this looks like a plate, it's really thin. Doesn't have any kind of mass. To fix that, I'm going to extrude it, and my shortcut for extrude is Ctrl E, or you can come to mesh. If you come to edit mesh, there should be an extrude button here. All right, and you can see the extrude function under edit mesh, and the shortcut is Ctrl E. All right, and I'm just going to extrude. For the thickness, I'm going to go with 0.05. Okay, I think that works for me, and I'll just right click. Okay, so that's one fast way to create a plate. The next thing I'm going to create now is a soda can. Now I'm going to keep it quite simple and basic. I'm just going to use a cylinder and establish the base, and then I'm going to establish the height. I'm going to add a little bit of details. So object mode, click on that, go to the cylinder, and for the caps, I'm going to add 2, and I'm going to select the edge, right click and select the edge. I will double click on this edge and I will scale it out just to define some kind of definition to it. I'll do the same thing at the bottom, double click, and I will scale it out a little bit. Okay, and what I'm going to do next is come to the top, which is actually the main focus of this modeling area. So I'm going to click once on that face, hold down shift and double click. You will notice that it selects the entire rim for me, which is what I want. If I activate my move tool by hitting W, I can hold down shift and extrude this a little bit just to create some kind of definition at the top. The next thing I'm going to do is create the last object, which is a mug. So to do that, I'm going to start with the primitive again. I'll draw the base of the mug, and then I'll establish the height. Something like that should work for me. All right, hit F to zoom in, and I think I need some definitions, subdivisions for the top. So I'm going to hit on the subdivisions cap and add the number 2. Also establish some subdivisions for the height. So I'm going to click on this and add maybe 9 subdivisions for the height, because I need that subdivision to extrude the arms of the mug. All right, since I'm here now, I'm just going to select some faces. I want to go to my side view, and I want to select faces that I'm going to extrude the handle of the mug from. So I'll select that, hold down shift. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to circularize this selection, because right now you notice that this is just a square. All right, I want to make it look circular because I want the handle of the mug to be circled in shape. I'm just going to go back to my perspective view, make sure I'm not selecting any other faces by mistake. It looks like I have the right selection. So with those faces selected, I'm going to go to edit mesh. There's this option that says circularize. I will hit on it, and you would notice now that it has forced these selections to look a little bit circular in shape, but it's not looking straight. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my rotation tool with that selection still active. I'll come right here in my side view, and I'm going to rotate that selection a little bit just to make sure it looks straight visually. Something like that. I think that looks fine. Okay, so with that selection still selected, I'm going to do Ctrl E for extrude. All right, I will hit on this icon here, not the arrow, this icon at the middle, which is for scale. I will hit on it, and then I can scale those selections inward a little bit, all right, just to create like an inset. Next thing, I'm going to extrude again. This time around, I'll want to try a different form of extrude. So I will hold down shift and change my gizmo to the move tool. and I can pull that handle out a little bit. Okay, so we're making some progress. Now I'm going to deselect this lower part here. I will hold down Control and just mark it, select that, and that selection is not active again. Then here at the top, I will activate my rotation tool, which is E. Shortcut is E. And what I want to do is rotate it a little bit to face the direction that I think the handle is going to go eventually. Something like that is fine. All right, I'm going to do the same thing here at the bottom. Just make sure it faces the direction I want the extrude to take. So I'll rotate it a little bit like that. Okay, now we're going to connect these two faces together, and we're going to use the bridge function. So I'm going to select the corresponding set of faces, holding down Shift. I'll add this to the selection, and then I'll come to Edit Mesh. You see there's a bridge function here. We need a smooth part and curve activated. All right, we don't want a linear part. Linear part is a straight line, which won't give us what we want. So we're going to click on the smooth part plus curve. All right, and let's customize it. So we're going to add some subdivisions just to make sure that the curve looks smooth. I'm going to go with 9 for now, and then I will say apply. And then you see we have a handle created. Okay, so I think I can work with this. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is try to define the inside part of the mug. I'm going to go to Edge, double click on that selection. I will scale it out a little bit, something like that. Then I'm going to right click and select the faces inside. Now there's this option here, right here, the third from the top, which is called the paint selection tool. It looks like the fastest option to get a lot of selection at once. So if I hold down B, I can define the size of the brush. I'm holding down B and I'm left clicking on the mouse. All right. So I want to define the selection there. I'll just draw over it, and that's fine. As you can see, it's a faster way to make a quick selection. I will go to the side view and I will activate my wireframe by hitting 4 so I can see through. And the reason is because I want to know when I extrude it, how far inwards I should go. So I will hold down Shift again, and I'm going to hold down my mouse and just pull it down, left clicking, and just pull it down like that. So I'm going to come here and see what we've got. So now we've defined the inside of the mug. Okay, so it looks like we finally got our 5 objects created. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to delete all of the histories, make sure everything is selected, and you go to Edit. There's this option that says Delete by Type History, and the shortcut is Alt-Shift-D. So you can delete the history. There's also this option here where you can use to delete the history with everything selected. I think this cube looks very big, so I'm going to try and scale it down a little bit so that it doesn't look out of proportion. Okay, so something like that should be fine. And once again, I'm going to pull it down so that it's not floating in the air. Something like that should work. All right, so I think we can work with this. I'm going to move the mug a little bit so that it's in view. So once again, make sure you've labeled everything properly. And next, we're going to delete history and freeze transform. So I'm going to select everything, go to Edit, Delete by Type, and delete history. Okay, and also there's this option here at the top that says Delete History. So I'm just going to make sure everything looks clean, and I'm going to save. Always make sure you save so that you don't lose your work. You save the scene, and in our next video, I'm going to show you how we can start applying textures. But first, we have to unwrap all of these geometries and export them into software like Photoshop and start applying textures. All right, see you in the next video.